We are live in Toms River, New Jersey at Island Smoothie and Salad's grand opening. Can I get a round of applause? So, owner Vincent Capriotti is an amazing guy, and that's why you see some amazing people at this panel right now. Not me, obviously, but
but tell Vinny not to dance anymore.
Yeah.
Did you see him dancing?
Yeah.
Earlier?
So no, he's a great dancer. I'm not gonna talk bad about. I'm trying to get some smoothies in my belly. Like I'm not gonna. Literally, don't. What is that? Don't bite the hand that feeds you.
Okay.
Yeah. Vincent also owns the building, the establishment next door, Wings and Things, which are the best wings in New Jersey, probably the world. I'd put them up against anybody. Very delicious stuff. But also one thing before we get into this, and I think it will be a common theme for the entire day, is this man has a heart of gold. He doesn't have, he's not a millionaire, not even close, but he gives to his community every single chance he gets. And that's why everybody, so I am very fortunate to have him as a friend, an ally, and I think we can all say the same. So, like I said, I'm here with Dr. Reverend Irvin Fryar. Is that right?
That's close enough.
That's close enough.
Yeah.
Close enough. I know Irvin for two reasons. One, Vincent, and then also he also was on Fox Sports The Gambler with the Green Legion.
Yes.
A little different thing. I always laugh because that's an amazing panel.
Is that what you would call it? Amazing?
No, the amazing that you could get any
controversial more than amazing
any content out of it, because there's it looks like the Last Supper when you guys are. I'm like, it's a radio nightmare.
Yeah,
There's
right.
And he always if one guy can't make it, he fills that void. But Quimby's nonstop, and if you don't know what the Green Legion is, it's an Eagles fan base. So really, I have nothing to do with it because I'm a Giants fan. But it's a traveling.
You should have said that.
Yeah, a traveling Eagles fan base. I think that's why I got the job, just to give the. It's called the Divide. So I'm the guy that's trying to make that division in Fox Sports. But they travel all over the world. And Irvin, this was your first year as a proclaimed Eagles fan. Right?
Yeah, really. I'd never really committed to a team. I played in the NFL for 17 years, but I never really committed as a fan. And started working with Green Legion last year, halfway through the football season, or the year before last. And then last year, a whole season with Green Legion. And last year, we went to the Arizona Cardinals game, and I got an opportunity to travel with the Green Legion, to travel with a bunch of the Philadelphia Eagles fans, and I went to my first NFL game as a fan and sat in the stands. Yeah, that was the first time I ever went to an NFL game and sat in the stands out in Arizona. And man, the fans, not because the Eagles were playing so well, not because they went to the Super Bowl last year, but I became an Eagles fan because of the Eagles fans. They were just tremendous. The camaraderie. You see someone that's an Eagles fan, if you got Eagles paraphernalia on, doesn't matter where you are, go Birds. It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. And I love being a part of it now. And I love having declared that I bleed green.
I love how go Birds could mean anything. Like, even if you're mad, you're like, go Birds. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's the same word, but they could say it in so many different ways. They could say it to a Giants fan in the most condescending way possible, or they could say it to each other as a union almost, or So no, dude, there's nothing like Eagles fans for sure. Good, bad, or indifferent. Like, it's definitely a party. That Xfinity Live area is insane. They do football, they do baseball, they do their sports complex right. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our third person on our panel, and that's Christie.
What's up?
How's it going? So you're Toms River native, right?
That I am.
Yeah. Yep. So born here, right?
Yep. Born in Point Pleasant.
Point Pleasant.
Family always lived in Toms River.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So and your story is so unique, but also you're a state champion as a freshman, right?
Yep.
That's amazing. Yeah. Swimming. For those that don't know, that's I can't swim. So anybody who says they can
neither.
swim,
We're gonna have to teach you
it's
guys.
quite
We're
amazing.
definitely gonna have
It's
to
too
teach
much.
you.
It's hard. It's too hard for me. I have to work too hard.
My daughter's amazing at it, and I have anxiety. I can't even watch in the pool like when they're in there because I can't do it. I don't know. I just feel awkward doing it, and like so like it's one of those things where I'm like, wow, it's like you're literally like a fish. So. Your life took a lot of twists and turns. You fell in and out of love with the sport, I would say, for reasons that obviously weren't yours. You had a car accident that unknowingly did damage to your brain, right?
Yes.
And then your son did something, and you want to share that with everybody?
Yeah. So I had several head injuries throughout the years. Surprisingly, as a swimmer, not like a football player, you would expect it from a football player. But as a swimmer, yeah, I've had plenty of head injuries. And then in 2008, I was involved in a car accident where I was hit by a car that created this blood tumor that just grew in my brain for the next 10 years. And in 2018, I was at a ski slope with my son and my daughter, and we were having like a snowball fight. Bless his little heart, he had just turned 3. He picked up this sheet boulder of ice thinking like, oh, it's a snowball, and he threw it right at my head, and we didn't realize at the time, but it had hit me where the blood tumor was and caused the blood tumor to bleed. So driving home, I started feeling a little weird. By the time I got home from the mountain, I had totally lost all strength in my left side. We went to the hospital thinking that it was probably a stroke, got put into stroke protocol, and that's when they found that my brain was bleeding. And I was paralyzed for, a full day. And there is nothing worse than them saying, pick up your leg, and you just can't do anything. And there's no movement, and like something so simple. Even now I struggle with that when I'm asked to do things that I used to be able to do super easily, and it's difficult. It hits you. But so I was able to actually, speaking of football, my good friend from college, Myron Roll, now a neurosurgeon up at Harvard Mass General, got in contact with him while I was in the ER, and he was on rounds. So when he got back to me, he was like, read me, the abstract from the MRI or the CT scan or whatever. And I read it to him, and he was like, okay, this is what you need to do. You need to have brain surgery. If they won't do it down there, at NYU, come up to Harvard, we'll do it for you. So I was able to get in with the chief of neurosurgery at NYU. He did the surgery, and all I was focused on was getting back in the pool, because at that point it was, now early 2019, and we were, a year and a half out from the Olympic Games, and I had been training for Tokyo, and that was all that our goal was. Like, when do we get post-surgery to get back in the pool? Got back in the pool, and left side was not working correctly. There was, not a lot of strength, not a lot of coordination. So I was like, there is no way you are going to Tokyo. Like, you are not going to be that feel good story. And, this, 28-year journey trying to get to the Olympics is now over. So went into a deep depression, decided, let's have another baby, fall into those roles that you have.
Right.
And watching the 2021 games, I, happened to see a Paralympian that I now call a friend. And, she had gone through something traumatic while she was a swimmer in college, and she made the switch over to Paralympics. And, now she's a doctor and all that. But I was like, okay, I guess I'm eligible. And then we started this journey into Paralympic swimming. So I was going about this not knowing that I was eligible. Once I found out I was eligible, I was like, all right, let's take it by the reins and let's go.
And so Paralympic, for those that don't know, it's 100% athletes. They could beat the average swimmer 100%, right?
Oh,
it's
yeah.
very, very competitive from what I understand from it and things like that. And also your brain injury has caused sudden death in other athletes and stuff like that. So
so the what I had was a cavernoma in my brain, and that's actually what killed the runner Flojo.
Yes.
So she passed away in her sleep from that rupturing. And unfortunately, it's a community that you don't want to become a part of, but when you do, you find solace with other people who are going through it. And then sadly, you do have people that, you meet through Facebook who pass away. And you sit there and you're very fortunate that, I'm very fortunate that my son hit me in the head when he did.
I was going to say that.
Yeah, because it would have just continued to grow. And that's what my neurosurgeon said. He said, it's going to just continue to grow. It's going to continue to bleed throughout the time. You're going to continue to lose function. And so he was like, I suggest taking it out. And I was like, cool, I just needed a surgeon to do it. Like I'm ready. I wanted it out. But yeah, so we were fortunate that we found it so quickly, because a lot of times you don't know that you have these until you're in your mid 30s, 40s. And, sometimes they're inoperable. I was blessed with where mine was and where we were at. So, yeah.
So I want to talk the man of the hour, and that's Vincent. How did you meet him, besides his, charm and wit and ability to connect with people?
So I was actually at the Field of Dreams event that Vinny put together amazingly, which was the beer pong with Todd Frazier last year. You guys were there.
Yeah, I was.
And so I came just to, just as somebody who is adjacent to the Field of Dreams and what they do. I was like, I'm going to go and show my support, be a representative from, Team USA and go there. And Vinny just came up to me and was like, hey, who are you?
Yeah.
And then, started chatting with him. And, I told him that I had gone to high school with Todd, so I knew what was going on and, wanted to come out and just support. And so he was like, well, what can I do to help you? And I was like, oh, nothing. But then of course he does the Vinny thing, and he's like, no, we're gonna do stuff. We're gonna make people hear your story, because for us in the Paralympic movement, we don't get the media coverage that we deserve.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And I was watching some of your highlights and stuff, and I was like, it's the Olympics. Like it's legit competition.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, so a lot of people think that Paralympics is the paralyzed Olympics, but it's actually, the word Paralympics is parallel to the Olympics. And it was created in London by a doctor who had fled Nazi Germany, and he was treating spinal cord injured soldiers. And he came up with the technique of turning spinal cord injured patients, every so hours. And that's how people with spinal cord injuries then lived. And then he was like, oh, okay, I think there's more that we can do. And he started the first Paralympic Games. Within, his rehab facility, he would have them doing all these athletic things. And then he just grew this movement. And so, yeah, it's not the paralyzed Olympics, it's parallel. So it's athletes with disabilities who are still in that top tier. And I say, I was an NCAA, champion. I was an NCAA swimmer. I swam with Michael Phelps post collegiately. The hardest I've ever trained in my life is now, because I am going up against disability. So I'm having to adapt everything. I'm having to fit all of this training into different ways, figuring out different ideas and stuff. And it's the hardest I've ever trained. And that's not because of my age. It's, it's because it requires a lot more when you have a body that doesn't function properly. And so all the athletes who are in the Paralympic movement, like we do sometimes get looked at like second best. And, we don't get the same notoriety. We don't get the same respect as our Ollie counterparts. But, the more that mainstream media takes notice to us, the more that we can propel that movement forward, the better it will be for the next generations, So like, I think about all the work that's been done so far for like progressing women's sports, all the work that Allison Felix has done to, showcase mothers, coming back from sports, but then like what the US women's soccer team has been doing the past, few years. That's the stuff that needs to now happen in the Paralympic movement. We need to start demanding equity. I always say that they're sitting there super excited about, now that they get scraps, they're like, oh, but it used to be so bad. And it's like, okay, but like that wasn't good then either. So like now it's like, we don't deserve scraps. We shouldn't be thankful for scraps. We should be like, yeah, I deserve the whole meal. Like, so, anytime that somebody wants to talk to me about it, I'm like, all right. Let's chat. So,
and that's not like, thank you for sharing that, because like, it's not normal, like for somebody to want to, like, you have no reason, you don't owe us anything to explain your sport, but it's huge for us. And I think as a community, like I look at everything from the Me Too movement, everything going on in the world. I think of it as where everybody's like, oh, we're so divided and all this other stuff. I was like, no, we're taking the soil and we're turning it to make beautiful flowers grow for our children. I mean, I look at your story scares me as a dad. Like, honestly, all the other stuff that you went through in your life, and we don't have to get into that today, but as a dad, it scares the living daylights out of me, because I have a daughter and she's beautiful, but also somebody could tell her she's not. You know what I mean? Like as a kid growing up, I didn't realize I was as good looking as I was. You know what I mean? And if I did, I'd have a little more. I would have had a little more sense of self-confidence. And a lot of people want to tear people down to make themselves feel better. I saw something about cowards love when heroes falter, and that's so true. And it's and sometimes it's human nature. So that kids don't know what they're doing. It's taught in a lot of ways, because when you go to kindergarten, I teach sometimes. I'm a substitute teacher. All these kids love each other. They're hugging each other, and somewhere down the road, somebody messes that up. And it's not a parent; it's a community. And so we need to do better. But Irv, you've known Vincent probably when he still had hair on his head.
Yeah, he did have hair on his head when we first met. There's a sign over there. I'm looking at the sign. I didn't see it when I first came in. It says, "All you need is love." Vinny is the quintessential example of that. And I'm going to say this, and I thought about this the other day, and I'm saying this not because we're here in Vinny's store, the grand opening, which are all trying to say nice things about him, because, that's what you're supposed to do when he's giving out free smoothies. But, I thought about this the other day. I've had some tough times in my life. And in those tough times, you find out who's with you and who's not with you. I don't know if anybody's been through anything here, but when you're going through tough times, that's when you really find out who's on your side and who's not on your side. And Vinny is one of the very few people, and I got one hand. I can name them on one hand in my life. I'm 60 years old now, that I know if something happens in my life and I need something, and I call him and tell him I need this. If he doesn't have it, he's going to help me find it. And he's always, always, always been there every time without failure. And that's why I'm here, paying back, because it's a reciprocal relationship. But that's the kind of cat he is. And it's rare. It's rare these days. You just got finished talking about how cynical the world is and how people love to tear one another down to build them or make themselves feel better. Vinny's not that kind of guy. He genuinely cares about people. Now, he does have opinions sometimes that are a little bit one-sided, but other than that, and we all have flaws. That's a flaw. But as far as loving people and genuinely caring about people and giving of himself to help the betterment of people, that's who he is.
No.
That's who he is. And, I wish him all the best. Now, we did try to do a business together, and that was a mistake on our part because we're friends. Sometimes friends shouldn't get in business together.
True.
But that's when you find out also that you have a true friendship. When your friendship, the relationship is able to go through a rough time, and you come out on the other side and you're still friends.
Oh, yeah.
Matter of fact, you're probably closer and you're better off. So we found out we couldn't do business together, didn't we, Vinny? Yeah, we couldn't do business together. But we came out on the other side, and it was rough there for a minute. We didn't call each other, didn't talk to each other for a minute. That was okay. No. But we came out on the other side better than before. So I love that cat, and I wish him all the best. And he does good work. This is great stuff. The smoothies here, all natural smoothies. Come on, all the junk that's in the world these days that we're eating and we're putting in our bodies. We're a more health-oriented, more health-focused people, supposed to be in the United States now, but these are all natural smoothies. Now, I don't know if I can really, do a lot of smoothies because I'll end up in the bathroom. Just all natural stuff, but it tastes good and it's good for you. And you've got good fellowship, a great atmosphere, good people coming in here. And you're interacting with them. I got a chance to talk to some people while I was here before the show, before we got on the air, and it's just been great. Christie, I got a quick story, real quick story. Christie was on my podcast. I have a podcast called The Fryar Place, if I may. It comes on. It's on YouTube every Friday at 12 noon. Y'all go to YouTube, search The Fryar Place. That's Fryar. ER is a chicken. Search Fryar, The Fryar Place, and subscribe, please. But Christie was on my podcast a few weeks ago, and whole story, same thing, telling the whole thing. And it was amazing and a great story. So the next week I go out and I'm playing golf, and my friend shanks the ball real bad, and I get hit in the back of my head.
Oh my God.
With the ball. The first person I thought about was Christie. Because I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, wait, okay.
You've had a lot of concussions.
Yeah. But I'm like, okay, is anything going to change? I wake up in the middle of the night, has something changed? Can I move my hands? Can I move my arms? I was thinking about you and using you as a gauge as to whether or not I needed to go to the hospital.
Well,
but
good. We're spreading concussion awareness
Yeah.
here on all levels.
but it was funny in my mind. It was not funny, but it was. I immediately went to you. I'm like, oh my goodness, that hurt.
Yeah, but that's the thing though, is that it can happen just in an instant. You know, like that's another thing about the Paralympics is that you meet so many people who are acquired. I mean, yes, there's a lot of congenital athletes and stuff, but when you meet another acquired athlete who had a life prior to injury, you're in this weird club together where you're like, yeah, it just changed in an instant. Like my life was totally fine. And then the next day, everything was different and everything had to be changed.
Do you think your life and how competitive you were was the reason why you were able to get back in the pool? Like, honestly, like, because you go in and out of the sport a lot because of things outside of the sport, right? So, but do you think everything from there led you to be able to do this?
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm a firm believer of, bless the broken road and like, everything happens for a reason. I have that tattooed on my ribs. And it is, I say to people, had I not gone into that first car accident in 2007 and had I made the Beijing Olympics in 2008, I would have been done. I would have been like, I'm Olympian. I've got my rings tattoo. Like I would have been out and I wouldn't have been able to do the stuff that I'm going to be able to potentially do in life. And so I feel like everything was kind of like stop and go. Cause it was like, it would give you enough to be like, yeah, I still want it. And then it would take it away. And then you're like, oh, I still have that drive, that desire. So it kept pushing me back and back and back. And I mean, when I did have my brain surgery, obviously I was training at the time for, Olympic trials. And my doctor said, this is the best time for you to do it because you have so much function. If you continue to lose function, you'll probably not have as much. So I am lucky that we got it removed when we did because we preserved as much function as possible. But I definitely think growing up an athlete and that desire to, constantly do something great, I mean, because when you do have a disability, you lose a lot of yourself. You lose a lot of, what you think you can do.
Right.
I mean, I wasn't able to drive for, over a year and I had to take buses to get my kids to school in the morning. And that was like a whole thing. I still have to rely on a lot of people. There are times when I can't, get up my stairs. My husband has to carry me up. But you lose a lot.
But that could be a good thing.
Yeah. I mean, he's got a bad back, so we don't want to put him
It still could
too
be a
much.
good thing.
Yeah.
I'm the kind of husband that if I have a cold, like the whole world's ending. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I'm a baby, man. I can't help it. So I couldn't imagine going through that, being at like you said, you were training with Michael Phelps.
Yeah,
and, like,
it's an ego check. It is definitely an ego
it's
check.
tough. But I'm also like, oh, it's raining outside. I'm not going to go for a run. You know, like I find any excuse to not. But I'm a hard worker. I just don't work out.
But I would say that winning mentality. I mean, I grew up here in Toms River. We are Little League Baseball Nation. I mean, I played baseball growing up. I was on the 97 10-year-old All-Star team.
Okay.
So a year before the Beast from the East went out. But so I played baseball growing up and I was the only girl and it was always, I got to be the best. I was a really good soccer player, did 3 varsity sports at South. And then in my other high school, I did 3 different varsity sports. So I was always just that desire to do something great. And now after having, a disability, I do think that athlete mentality is what got me to be able to persevere and come back and do this now.
Yeah. So I want to get into some of these smoothies because I know some of you in the audience have benefited from Vincent's, kind heart. So we have Ocean of Love, which is a strawberry, banana, yogurt, almond milk, and guava, right? Guave. Yeah. Yeah. But the most important thing about all these smoothies is the fact that there's a $1 going to these charities each time. And do the math. Like we all know how expensive fruit and everything I just said right on that. Like the profit margins don't add up. Vincent's doing this because he's a kind man. And he's trying to get the community to rally around all these great causes. and also, obviously help a good man in his business. So we also have the vet work, which is blueberries, banana, yogurt, almond milk, and Nutella, which sounds delicious. A need we feed, a acai, banana, acai. I always say it wrong.
That's all right. I wasn't going to help you.
Yeah.
That's why you got
Good
your
luck with
wife.
that.
That's
Yeah.
why you got your wife here.
right.
Just checking you.
Thanks. Banana, strawberry, and coconut milk. Dine on Us, which the first time I met Mr. Irvin Fryar, Dr. Irvin Fryar.
Man, just call me Irving. Stop.
Yeah,
all that
I'm
foolishness.
sorry, man. Like,
Let's just call him Doc.
yeah,
there you
Doc.
go. Okay,
Oh,
all right.
that's kind of great.
There you go. See?
Yeah.
Yeah, see,
She's
Go
awesome.
Back to the Future.
I
Yeah.
like
Doc in the house.
Yeah.
We should all start a podcast. Dine on Us, pineapple, green apple, spinach, yogurt, vanilla extract, coconut milk. Then For the Soul. I saw some of you guys out here today, right? Yeah. So what for the soul, for people that don't know, do you want to grab the mic real quick and explain that? Anybody? You want to? Here.
She's videoing.
Oh yeah, wait. All right.
Is there
Yeah. I'll give you my mic.
Here you go.
We're all offering her our mics.
Like, get away from me.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for this opportunity. Shoes for Your Soul is a nonprofit children's shoe organization that provides free shoes and socks to children in need in Camden County and the surrounding areas. We properly size every child to ensure they're in the correct size shoe, and then they are given the opportunity to pick out any shoe that we have available in their size.
It's awesome.
That's good.
I also want to say we've given over 50,000 pair of shoes. I'm sorry, 10,000 pair of shoes, 50,000 pair of socks. I'm sorry. And we have the support of Subaru, big companies, Macy's, Amera Group, Walmart. So, and hopefully and prayerfully, Dr. Fryar will be on our board.
I'm on the board. I'm waiting for y'all.
Yay.
We met
So
several
thank
weeks
you.
ago, and they asked me to be on the board, and what they're doing is phenomenal. Actually, one of the goals is to have a store. Correct.
The first nonprofit children's shoe
yes,
store.
Yes.
That's
So
amazing.
we're going to make that happen for sure.
Thank
I'm in.
Yes. Thank you so
Yeah.
very much.
Love it.
And then, so the next smoothie, and if correct me if I'm wrong, if Vincent's here, this is the one that started it all, and it's near and dear to Tom's River, the Gavinator. There's Gavin right here.
Hey,
Everybody-
What's going on, Gavin? Gavinator.
I gotta admit, like, this one's delicious. Banana, peanut butter, strawberry, almond milk, and they're so easy to say. So I appreciate that one. But also, for those that don't know, and anybody joining the live stream, the Field of Dreams is something that is one of a kind. It's a beautiful establishment that Christian Kane made for his son and for people that, have disabilities or can't play a sport or struggle to play that sport, can now go to this facility and play any sport imaginable, from mini golf, baseball. And it's just, if you know somebody who doesn't have a heart, send them there. And you can't, it's something that will blow your mind. And it's so inspiring. And, so obviously we try extremely hard as a community. Tom's River, I know Todd Frazier's involved a lot to raise money and keep that park going, the field going, because it's so important to every kid, and not just so thank you, Christian. Thank you, Gavin, for inspiring an entire state and nation.
Yeah. And I want to say something on that. So it's huge for kids. I mean, I have a son who is neurodiverse, so the playground is awesome for him. But one of the things that was the hardest thing for me to accept after my injury was not being able to go on the playground with my kids anymore.
Right.
Not being able to just get around and run. That was what we did. We would go to the playground every day after the school when we lived in the city. And now that's just not feasible for me. I'm usually using my wheelchair, and playgrounds are not accessible. We go to Field of Dreams, and I'm rolling up with them, and it's it's amazing for parents, Christians and grandparents who can now take their kids to the park. I mean, it's an amazing facility.
Well, Christian, correct me if I'm wrong. A day like today at like a Challenger League or something like that, you wouldn't be able to bring Gavin, right? Because the field would have been too wet. But if it was the Field of Dreams, Gavin would be able to play tonight without a problem, right? Other than the wetness. But
correct.
Yeah.
First of all, thank you, Dr. Fryar. For giving me your microphone. But yeah, you're right. That's what the complex is all about. It's allowing everything to be accessible, no matter what your age is or what your special need is. We kind of make the playing field level. And, I think what we've been trying to show and prove people that, hey, listen, just because you have a disability or because you suffered a stroke doesn't mean that game's over.
Right.
It just means that we just have to change the game. And that's what we did that's what we, Mary and I created at the complex. We created a complex that allows those of any age or of any ability a place not to be stared at. But to know that on a beautiful sunny day, you don't have to stay in your room or in your house. You now can go out and interact with other people, participate in games that you either used to do or never thought you could do, and surround yourself with really good people. And, we've been very lucky. Listen, we, believe it or not, this is our 1-year anniversary. We opened up last year this day, right? And we have over 1,700 registered families, especially families who are members. We have over 35 different school districts who utilize the complex. We have one registered family from every single county in the state. I mean, that's 21 counties. And we have families from, Long Island and New York and Connecticut and Pennsylvania that all come because there is nothing like this in the country. And it's hard to explain, like you've been there. I mean,
yes,
you've been there. I mean, it's hard to explain what we are because there's nothing like it. Mm-hmm. And that once we can get the word out of what we are and get people to the complex, you'll know, like, wow, if a high school math teacher was able to raise $3.5 million in cash in 5 years while teaching, while taking care of his son, while taking care of his other 5 children, well, then I can build. Then I could probably, anyone else can build a complex like this, and it'll be easy now because I'll be able to show you, the ropes and how and what you have to do. So, but like a day like today, once again, we can't thank enough Vin for doing this, and obviously, once again, promoting the field and being a big supporter of what we've been doing. I know Gav and I appreciate it a lot, right, Gav? Do we appreciate it a lot? Thumbs up for Vin. You want a Gavinator. You're hungry for a
Gavinator.
Yeah. All right. Whenever we're done, we can blend one up.
Gavinators.
That'd be great. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Christian. So you could see a lot of strong-minded people. I mean, if I don't know what I would do in Christian's scenario, but talk about taking the most tragic, a car accident, and turning it into this most beautiful thing that will last, hopefully, a lifetime. So thank you, Christian, for being that beacon of hope. And, again, and I've had conversations with Christian about Vinny, and the fact that, he's just got a heart of gold and he's always trying to help other people. And it's about time people try to help him. And it was one of the things that we talked about around Christmas time. And, it's so true. But if we could all be a little bit more like Vinny, I think the world would be a little bit better. Minus some of his views, right? Just kidding.
Everybody has an opinion.
Yeah. Most are wrong. No, but in all seriousness, let's fire off some smoothies, take a quick break, and we'll be back. Listen, if you're following us on the stream or you're watching this later in podcast form, please check out Island Smoothies and Salads if you're ever by the Jersey Shore. I mean, it's right before the bridge when you get into Seaside. Also, Wings and Things, the best wings, period. And this man works hard, and for every meal, I'm telling you, he's giving one away too. Like, so it's absolutely crazy. His charitable works in Toms River, and it can't go unnoted. My name is Mike Powers from The Divide, Fox Sports The Gambler. I got Doc right here next to me from Fryar Place, and I have Chrissy, who is a world record holder, right? You're like a
Yes.
world like
50
So-
was it 50-meter backstroke?
Yes, look
Yeah.
at you.
I'm
Hey, yeah.
I'm old, but my mind is not that going yet.
No, I was gonna say. Speaking of like concussions, did you ever?
I had a
suffer?
bunch of concussions.
Yeah.
I actually have 12 documented concussions. Now that's
Jeez.
not
You
counting
beat
the other
me.
ones.
Or when
That's not counting the other ones where you get
Yeah,
dinged
yeah,
and
yeah.
in like 60 years, are you gonna give your brain up to like?
you know what?
Like-
I actually am.
All right.
Yeah, because they need. I mean, the CTE. I guess that's
Yeah.
where you're
Yeah,
pointing
yeah.
at. CTE. It affects everybody differently,
Mhm.
and according to studies, according to medicine, I guess all of us have some degree of
Mhm.
CTE,
Mhm.
but it affects all of us differently.
Yeah.
So the ones obviously who are in bad shape, we kind of know about that a little bit. But
Right.
why am I not walking
Why are
around?
you? Yeah, you look
you know,
great, man. Like
that way. So having had all those concussions,
Right.
so yeah, I'll be able to help by donating my brain.
Because we don't need our body once we're dead.
Right,
You know,
right.
like, what do we
Yeah.
need it for?
I'm being cremated anyway.
yeah,
You
I'm-
give me my brain and
Yeah,
cremate me.
Yeah, I'm saving
Yeah.
I'm saving my family the money. Just
Yeah.
donate it to science.
don't
Do some
know.
experiments on me, teach people something. I don't care. I don't need the body anymore.
All right. Well, this body needs some smoothies, so we're gonna take.
We're getting kind of getting
Yeah.
morbid, aren't we? A little morbid.
Oh man. Sorry, I had to ask. You got the
No, it's okay.
opportunity.
No,
Yeah.
it's
So
great. Yeah, yeah.
we're gonna take a quick break, fire off some smoothies.